So we're back to talk about my recent tournament I have gone to. If the glasses are new to you, I'm sorry. I went to a GT down in Irvine, California. It was hosted by Dice Hammer, the local group there. I am familiar with many of them, and they are all pretty awesome. It's definitely a smaller GT, only about 75 people, but it's a lot more like, it's very like us guys kind of thing, much more like Bro Hammer feeling, you know? Really a good time, honestly. So let's talk about the games that I played. I am going to be pulling up my little new app. It is called, also, just by the way, there is a thing called Tabletop, is it Tabletop Gaming? Tabletop Battles is an app with a green square with a sword and like a chain sword across it. It is the best Warhammer app out there at the moment to play games with. It is fucking amazing, would recommend. Anywho, let's talk about my list, shall we? So, my list is a classic Arks of Omen list, as they tend to be. It was played with Arks of Omen, and I took Night Lords to this GT. It was just a kind of you and me friendly kind of guys. You know, we were all just playing the game, and I was like, you know what? I have not played Night Lords since Arks of Omen. I'm going to go ahead and play that. Let me go ahead and actually tell you guys. I'll type the Tabletop Battles in the chat. There you go. That's the name of the app. It's a light green color with a chain sword and a power sword. It's a chain sword and like a regular sword. It's so good. It's so good. Anywho, this was my list here. It was a obviously Arks of Omen detachment and Night Lords, like I mentioned. So for the goal for this list was to kind of go wide. Instead of tooling up 3 insanely good Space Marine characters, I brought 4 characters and gave them all basically just 1 relic or 1 warlord trait to see what they could do. I also went hard in lots of infantry with the intention on reserving a lot of them, and that's kind of what I did. So, starting off, we have the Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. It is a Combi Flamer Lightning Claw with the relic Ulaka the Black. The idea here, I'll go through the whole list first and I'll tell you more about it. Then I had an Exalted Champion, that's like the Chaos Lieutenant, with the Nurgle Relic Sword or Axe. I had a Disco Lord with the Flames of Spite. I had 3 squads of cultists. They were actually in squads of 15, because when you're in squads of 15, you can take 2 of every single special weapon. So I had 2 flamers, 2 grenade launchers, and 2 heavy stubbers all in the set. Then I had 3 squads of legionaries, a smaller squad of Nurgle marked ones, all of them with the Balefire Tome. Nurgle had prescience, the other 2 had diabolical strength, and the other 2 was a 10-man squad of heavy weapons with Mark of Tzeentch, and then a 9-man squad with tons of special weapons with the Mark of Slaanesh. We then had a 5-man squad of Chaos Terminators with the Mark of Nurgle, all cursed weapons and combi bolters. 5-man squad of Chosen with the Mark of Khorne and the Icon as well. A Master of Executions with the Night Haunter's Curse and the Warp's Malice. 5 Raptors, 1 Chaos Spawn, a Chaos Predator Annihilator, funny enough, and Havocs with Reaper Chain Cannons. So, let me explain my thought process here. I wanted to go with a lore-accurate Night Lords build. No demons. You're probably thinking to yourself, Bricky, how can it be no demons if you have a Chaos Spawn and a Disco Lord? I actually converted them. I made my Disco Lord ride a horse, that new Sigmar horse Chaos guy. I have a Night Lord guy on that. And for the Chaos Spawn, I had the Chaos Cultist with a giant firebrand stick as that one instead. So there were no demons involved in the entirety of the list from a modeling point of view. So I thought it'd be kind of fun. So let's start off with the characters, right? The Chaos Lord and Terminator armor with Ulaka the Black is meant to be my Mortal Wound Bomb character. Ulaka the Black is 1 mortal... Actually, we should pull up the dogs, is basically 1 mortal wound for every single wound. Think of it like the Reaper of Obliterax with the Tyranids. So every single time I successfully wound you, I do a mortal. Now, giving him a Combi Flamer is just kind of nice to have, but with a Lightning Claw, you can re-roll all your wounds. And as a Chaos Terminator, he has 6 attacks, so +1 with the Lightning Claw, so 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, and then, you know, if you're Night Lords and you get the +1 to wounds sometimes, I could maybe do like 6 mortal wounds plus a few wounds, which is just kind of nice, you know? It's just a fun amount of damage. The Exalted Champion had Golax the Decayed as well as his combi Melta. Golax is a fancy-pantsy Nurgle relic that is basically, if you hit your target, just hit them, it auto wounds and you get no phase caps, no feel, no pains, and no -1 damage anymore. The Exalted Champion has a accursed or exalted power axe. So he's hitting at strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage. So strength doesn't really matter. So it's an AP 2, 2 damage, 5 attacks. He's also a Lieutenant Aura, which is kind of nice to have, you know? Then moving on, we had a Lord Discordant. They had a Marcus Slaanesh for fights first, and they had Flames of Spite. Flames of Spite is reroll all wounds and wound rolls on a 6 do a mortal. Arguably the best possible Warlord trait for a Disco Lord because he has so many attacks. Then the last character was the Master of Executions. This is such a fun combo, though I didn't get to use it as much as I would like. It was Chaos Undivided. I didn't put the Slaanesh mark on it, probably should have. Warp's Malice is the Relic Pistol, 2 mortal wounds on a hit roll of a 6. Night Hunter's Curse allows you to change any dice once per turn to a 6. So it's roll 4 dice, see if you get any 6s, turn it over. In my final game, I fought a guy who had a Lord of Change, and I rolled 3 6s. So I turned the last one into another 6, and I did 8 mortal wounds to the Lord of Change with just a fucking pistol. Didn't even use the Slaanesh strat. Just 8 mortal wounds. So nasty. Anywho, moving on from there, I had the 3 Chaos Cultists. Now this was, as I mentioned before, just nice because they could put 2 Flamers, 2 Grenade Launchers, and 2 Stubbers in every single squad for only 15 people. And so for 75 points, you had 15 OBSEC bodies with like not terrible firepower. You could genuinely put some saves on people, and that's not bad, you know? Like, and they actually kind of did. The idea was also to sometimes reserve them, bring them in, do some damage to the screens, and then maybe charge and maybe roll a 9 and then get onto an objective. Legionaries were kind of simple. The Nurgle guy would start on the board, give pressions to anything I really feel like. And then the Tzeentch one was my gun toting group, and the Slaanesh one was my stabby group. They both had diabolical strength. This was entirely to buff up exactly which character I wanted to. I want more mortal wounds. Diabolical strength, by the way, is +2 strength and +2 attacks. So how about 9 attacks on my Chaos Lord, or 7 on my Exalted Champion, or 8 on my Master of Executions, with better wounding as well because of +2 strength. So it's kind of like a toolbox. The Chosen were really just there to cause another big threat, be there, cause problems, be nasty, do a lot of damage. The Terminators, you might say, why bring the Terminators when they're so expensive? This is entirely because of the Night Lord stratagem from the Night. Night Lords have a very specific strat that allows you to, one of the better strats in the game, 1 CP, bring in anything from reserves or deep strike onto the battlefield turn 1. So these Terminators could get a really good angle and either rip apart something squishy like Eldar with 20 Combi Bolter shots, or possibly get a good early turn charge and tie up stuff. And, you know, that's actually not only scary, but also Night Lords have 2 CP, we have come for you, which is no fallback. So if I get that good Deep Strike, and I get that solid like drop, and they can't fall back, that's horrifying. Lastly, the Chaos Spawn was there entirely to hold my backfield objective. The Raptors were there entirely to just do Rod, or jump over the wall and cause more problems, or give a -1 leadership to something that really needs it. Just, you know, nice action moving. And then there's the Predator. Okay, so the Predator's kind of crazy. The Predator Annihilator is a T8 tank with D6+2 damaging las cannons, 2 heavy bolters, a Havoc launcher, and a combi bolter for only 130 points. Kinda not bad, you know? Like, it's a bit swingy, but it's not terrible. And then finally, there's the 4 Havocs with Reaper chain cannons and the Flamer. I would have gotten rid of the Flamer, but I didn't have the model. So my game plan was simple. Reserve literally half my army. And I do not mean that jokingly. I reserved about 900 points of my army every game. I put my characters on the field, all my characters, and I reserved often 2, sometimes 3 cultists. I reserved my Tzeentch legionaries. I reserved my Terminators. And I reserved my Havocs. Sometimes my Raptors too. And then I would wait to either have a great toolbox to figure out which thing I want turn 1 Deep Strike, and then go from there. For example, that 1 CP strat, as you saw, is Strategic Reserves or Deep Strike. So if I had a way to put my Terminators out there, I did. Or if there was something I really wanted to start ripping, I would actually turn 1 drop my Havocs. And what's this? 32. So, oh, even better. Often one of the biggest issues I have with Havocs is that you don't get their Wanton because they normally don't get a good shot till turn 2. Now I can turn 1 with the heavy weapons, get exploding 6s on my Reaper chain cannons, that with Nurgle I can prescience for +1 to hit. Pretty okay. That's 32 shots with exploding 6s on 2s at strength 5, AP 1 damage. It's not bad. Coming out of nowhere turn 1, it's not bad. So here's how it went. Game 1. Imperial Guard. We're talking bunch of Leman Russes, 3 Kasserkin, Leontis, Command Squad, Sly Marbo, the Giga Chad, Strachan, the Giga Chad, and then bunch of Cadian infantry. Also, by the way, all of the infantry were cat girls. I'm not even kidding. They had colored hair and were felonid type guardsmen. They were cat sirkin. That one gave me a really good chuckle, I'm not gonna lie. So, that one actually made me laugh quite a bit, was the cat sirkin. So, moving on. The first Imperial Guard match was a roughie. I need to actually double check on these lists, if you don't mind, check, because I just need to open up my past Best Coast pairings thing so I can go over exactly what they had, because I just don't want to be too poor when it comes to how things went. Pairings, Brick. Oh, by the way, this was only a 5-round tournament. Hey, where'd my Mass Effect music go? I fixed it. It was only a 5-round tournament, which I must say I liked a lot more. So here we go. Born soldiers, of course, for Imperial Guard, for the Imperial Guard army. It was Strachan Leontis Militarum Tempestus Command Squad, is for boots on the ground, basically. Tank Commander, lots of Cadian shock troops, 6 of them in fact, triple Casterkin, Sly Marbo, 2 Scout Sentinels, 3 Lehman Russ tanks with the Vanquisher Battle Cannon, that's the Hammerhead Railgun variant, and a Chimera. So turn 1 started off, and I get first turn. I deep strike in my Terminators, rip through a couple of his guardsmen, and I roll a charge roll. I miss. I CP it, and I get my charge. And with that 9-inch charge, I tie up his Chimera and his tank together. Completely tie them up. Cannot shoot me. Cannot move. Was very nice. Very, very nice. He hits me with the Casterkin Leontis combo and does insane damage. He uses the Casterkin's sniper rifle to literally one-shot my Master of Executions and do an ungodly amount of mortal wounds to about 3 other squads. Luckily, I didn't have too many good targets on the field, so he wasn't able to actually get a ton of damage in because there wasn't a lot of like really good targets to shoot, basically. But he did snipe my execution out turn 1, which was very sad. From there, though, it became this back and forth of just me tying up all of his stuff and him rolling like absolute dog shit on his Vanquisher Lehman Russes. He has 3 Vanquisher Lehman Russes. They fire 1 single shot. Allow me to show you what that shot looks like, because it is horrifying. Okay? Astra Militarum. We'll go with the Tank Commander, why not? Here it is. Vanquisher Battle Cannon. Heavy 1. Strength 14. AP 5. D3 plus 6 damage. Ignores invul saves. Does another D3 mortal wounds on top of that. It is very good. But he was rolling 2s like nobody's business. Because if he rolled 1s, he would get to re-roll it with Regimental Tactics. And if he rolled 3s, it would land because of the turret weapon rule. He didn't. He rolled 2s like he had somewhere to be. Do you want to know how many Vanquisher Lehman Rush shots he actually landed and it went through and did damage? 2. 2. The whole game. I am not being hyperbolic. This is not me like saying it was so tiny. No, it was 2. That was it. 2. It was very rough. Other than that, the entire game was almost fully realized by me utilizing one major stratagem. We have come for you. I sent in my Disco Lord, which moved up, would charge some infantry, and then I would we have come for you, so he couldn't fall back. My Disco Lord would then, well, my Disco Lord would charge infantry, kill them all, consolidate into other infantry, and then we have come for you. And when I did that, he was unable to shoot me ever, and then I would kill all the infantry, run up into a tank, and one-shot every tank. And by there, it was just pushing into stuff. I would deploy cultists. My cultists killed his Casterkin squad because they were all reserved. I reserved my Havocs. My Havocs just went and ripped through everything. And then I would drop in my cultists, and my cultists would start flaming all of his infantry. And cultists with flamers and shit actually do a lot of damage to regular Cadian infantry. And then I was Night Lord, so he was failing morale. I ran the Night Lord secondary Sow the seed, reap the fear. And I maxed it. 15 points. From the amount of morale phase fails, rolls on leadership, and falling back. Overall, the amount of damage that Guard does, especially with no Armor of Contempt, is kind of insane. And if I was other Space Marines, I think I would have lost. But We Have Come For You was a genuine game-changing stratagem to the point where he just couldn't shoot me and I could ping-pong myself off of various things in order to get multiple things tied up. Combine that with this terrible rolling on this poor tank commanders and tanks, as well. Oh, you also have the Gatekeeper, of course, as well as not a whole lot of great targets for the Leontis combo, and just me being able to bounce and that first turn charge with those Terminators, especially that first turn charge. I was able to finish off the game with a final score of 48 to 95. 48 to 95. Game 2. Dark Angels. By a Mr. Man named Jeff. Jeff Jew. Jew. That's just his name. Don't be mean. Don't be weird about it. Mr. Jeff is part of a group down in San Diego area. I think he's actually from LA. Called Xenos Petting Zoo, XPZ. They are a very popular community group down in SoCal for Warhammer, and they are really fucking good. I have fought many of them, and I think, at like a 30% win streak against them. I normally lose. Jeff appears to be one of their better players, as he, how do I put this lightly, reamed my tiny little pink butthole. Like, I mean, he ripped. I didn't shit proper for days, man. I couldn't hear any of my farts. Good Lord Almighty. He had Azrael, 2 Talon Masters, Incursors, Infiltrators, god damn it, Ancient, Deathwing, 20, I think 20 Deathwing, with shields and hammers, 2x3 multi-melta attack bikes, and 2 land speeder tornadoes. Lol Lamau Dev Doctrine. Here's the thing, chat. I just did the thing. Space Marines now have permanent Devastator Doctrine if you want to have it, right? Thing is, Dark Angels have a lot of good uses for that. Not only do his land speeders move, I think, 26 inches with all of the Dev Doctrine buffs, but Talon Masters, in particular, have insane weapons. And they have a very special secondary called Codex Warfare. Codex Warfare gives you 2 points for every single thing you kill in Dev Doctrine with a heavy weapon. With no cap. Just kill things with heavy. It's insane. It's insanity. So, he had Talon Masters. What are Talon Masters? Talon Masters are 18-inch move. I think it's 21-inch because of +3-inch move because of Dev Doctrine, that can advance and shoot with no penalty. Because, you know. That contain a twin assault cannon and twin heavy bolter, which also re-rolls a wound roll of a 1. and can give out no cover. So 12 shots at 6-2-1 and 6 shots at 5-2-2 with that level of movement. Oh, did I tell you that this is a character, chat. It's also got only 8 wounds. So it can be lookout sirred behind Deathwing Terminators. So I can't shoot it. Chat, did you know that he brought 2 of them? Chat, did you know that that land speeder tornadoes happen to have a heavy bolter and an assault cannon that also move that much distance? That are also AP2 and AP2? Chat, did you know he had 3 squads of attack bikes that had a multi-melta in them, as well as twin bolt guns that could move 23 inches because of the turbo boost? That he used Azrael to give full rerolls to hit? Oh, and don't forget, chat, this is not discussing the 20 Terminators he had. 20! Did you guys know that Deathwing Terminators with sword and board, did you know they all have transhuman? They can only be wounded on a 4-up permanently, game-wide. They also don't run to morale, so my +1 to wound as Night Lords doesn't work, and my morale doesn't work either. Yeah, to I got fucking railed. I got absolutely railed. Nothing went in. Nothing was able to pull things off. I failed a ton of charges. There was some charges I maybe should have made, but I didn't. And I just couldn't, and so I lost a lot of characters that way. Lots of things failed their charges. Lots of things fucked up the other issue. Like, I lost all kinds of stuff. I got ripped. He beat me 99-38. I just couldn't do it. He was too good. Let me make this clear. Let me make this very clear. All the things he hit me with are insanely good. That being said, he is just a better player than me. He is so good. He was the best player I played that weekend by a country mile. Awesome guy to play with. I learned actually quite a lot by him. Quite a lot. But yeah, just reamed. My third game, however, was Imperial Guard again. Wow. We're talking. Oh, also, by the way, all of it, Death Corps of Krieg. 3D printed, really nice looking Death Corps models. Full Death Corps army. Awesome guy. Cadian Command Squad. Death Corps Marshal. 2 tank commanders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry squads with las cannons in each of them. What else do we got here? 2 combat engineer Krieg squads for deep striking and doing actions and stuff. Armored Sentinel 3 squadron. 2 basilisks. And then 3 Lehman Russes. Dad. This guy is actually in my pod right now for the little thing I'm doing. This guy was awesome. This guy is such a fucking dad. He had a Morty and Glory shirt on. If you don't know Morty and Glory, he does all the guard stuff on YouTube. He's a big guard player. He had a Morty and Glory shirt. He was like this total, he's like a teacher, total dad, complete fucking dad kind of guy, right? Absolute dad gamer. Love this guy. Great rapport. One of my most fun matches. I'd say my favorite match, actually. Just from like a back and forth guy. All my opponents were good, but he and I kind of just had a really good back and forth. We were just a good time. I got turn 1, and I dropped in my Havocs. I did not drop in anything to try to charge him. I dropped in my Havocs, and I decided to split fire on 4 of his infantry squads with each cannon and flamer. And I killed like maybe 15 guardsmen turn 1, and then he failed morale like 3 times. I was trying to thin the ranks out because I knew they were gonna die, right? I knew they were gonna die, but I saved that a bit to kind of prep it for later. This was also a game that was won by We Have Come For You. After doing a lot of shooting and blasting, I basically wasn't able to kill any of his tanks. I think I killed 0 tanks until turn 4. Yeah, I killed no tanks until turn 4. But my 9-man Slanesh squad, basically he made this unfortunate error where he moved up a squad to take no man's land, in which I then charged them, rolled a huge charge, slingshotted that squad away, and then consolidated into more infantry and 2 of his tanks. And then We Have Come For You. Now the tanks can fall back, but the infantry can't, so I can't be shot. I murder all the infantry, and then I consolidate back into his tanks again, and I do this for 4 turns in a row. I then even piled in, oh, this poor guy. This poor guy. I piled in, and he decided to desperate break out his tank. Can you guess the number he rolled? Can you guess the number he rolled? No. No, chat. You see, if you try a desperate breakout with a stratagem, you need to roll a dice for the models. For every single one you roll, that model dies. At turn 4, I had killed not a single vehicle of his. And then he rolls a 1 in desperate breakout and blows the fuck out of his own Lehman Russ tank. So, it's pretty funny. I won't lie. I had a really good laugh. He did the stratagem, and as he was rolling the dice, I was like, oh, don't roll the 1. And then I rolled the 1, and he's like, why'd you say that? And I was like, I told you not to roll the 1. You didn't do what I said. He's like, fuck you, Brick. Why'd you have to say those words? Like, I told you not to do it. Great guy. Love this guy. Awesome. So fun. Everything past there was just We Have Come For You. Slingshotting off of his infantry to go into his tanks. I also maxed a 15 on Sow the Seed, Reap the Fear. Being able to get all my charges in, get into his grill, stop his stuff from shooting me was really handy. Very, very useful. And that really was what won me the game at the end of the day. That was a win. It was not as good of a win, but it was a win with a 83-57. Game 4. Iron Hands. Wait a minute. No. Wait. Oh yeah, no, I got that right. Okay, yeah, Iron Hands, sorry. Iron Hands. 1 Tech Marine with Iron Stone. 2 Stern Guard with Combi, Meltas, and Multi-Meltas. 10 Terminators. 3 Dev Marines with Multi-Meltas and Grav Cannons. Oh, but are you ready for the piece de resistance, chat? 3 Drop Pods and 3 Repulsor Executioners. So, remember all the things I mentioned about Dev Doctrine in the last game? So the way Iron Hands work is that you can reroll 1s to hit with heavy weapons in Dev Doctrine, and you get AP1, and you ignore the move and shoot penalty to firing heavy weapons. I'll give you guys a guess. Who do you think got first turn? Not me. Not me. Not me. This was the biggest mistake I've made so far, was that I decided to reserve half my army because I didn't want to get shot to death. Turns out that was the bad idea. Because what happened is that by doing so, he shot all of my screens. He got first turn. He dropped in all 3 drop pods and unloaded everything. He did not shoot me with any repulsors. I hid from the repulsors. But he killed every single screen and 3 of my 4 characters, because they were no longer lookout CERN. He killed my Disco Lord, my Terminator Lord, and my Exalted Champion, and left my Master of Executions on 1 wound. I think I lost about 700 points turn 1. Now, I was able to come back for a little bit, because I was able to utilize his own drop pods against him, because I took Rise to Glory, because I was like, oh, I'll just melee the drop pods, they're vehicles. But it did not work, because there were still 3 full Repulsor Executioners there to murder me. This game was decided when he won turn 1. Flat out. It was decided when he won turn 1. I got tabled, basically fully and in full capacity. This was a massive Alpha Strike army. If he didn't get turn 1, I may have won. I don't know. It depends on the drop pods. But he was an Alpha Strike army. And he got his Alpha Strike. So this was the fastest game by far. I lost 41 to 85. Not awful. You know, I crawled a few points out of there. But, you know, it is what it is. 41 to 85. Final score. Oh, well. Last but not least, I had game 5. Now, for the final game, had mixed Chaos Demons. I actually fought this guy at the SoCal Open. If you go back to the SoCal Open and you hear a video, which is on this channel, you can see this YouTube channel for you Twitch viewers. I talked about it a while ago. It's Bricky episode 2. He was a mono Tzeentch player with tons of flamers and exalted flamers and burning chariots. This time, it's mixed Chaos Demons. So it was Be'lakor, Lord of Change, Impossible Robe, of course, Bloodthirster with Wound Cap, 2 Flamer squads, corn dogs, nurglings, some horrors. That's about it, actually, yeah. Oh, and like a change caster, I think. Yeah. This was a pretty fun one. I got turn 1 and was able to do a pretty good amount of ripping and tearing. Quite a lot of damage, and I really didn't go that far forward. I did most of my gunfire into his Bloodthirster, specifically. Enough to actually bring him down to under 6. I think I got them to 14 wounds on turn 1, but I held my stuff really far back. So after his turn, he moved up, but he couldn't charge me with his Bloodthirster, and he couldn't get into range of a lot of good psychic powers with his Lord of Change. So after turn 1, I also used my Havocs to rip apart some of his blood. Oh, he had some Bloodletters too. His Bloodletters and Corn Dogs. Side note, yo, Corn Dogs are really good, man. They're really good. I can't believe people aren't talking more about them. They're called Flesh Hounds, by the way, chat. They're 15 points each with a 12-inch move, T4, 2 wounds, 4-up demon save, and they all get an AP1 flamer, and they can deny the witch, and on a charge move, they get +1 damage to their attack. So they're hitting you with 3 attacks on 3s at 5/2/2 for 15 points, man. That's really good. Oh my god. They're so good. Anyway, you should run more of them. Anyway, I was able to rip through most of his dogs and his Bloodletters and his Nurglings pretty early on. The big issue was the big guys. But turn 2, I was able to kill his Bloodthirster before it ever attacked. Fired the tank, fired the Havocs, fired the everything. Hit him with the Bale Flamer, hit him with the sideways pistol with the Master of Executions, hit him with everything, ran up, charged him with the Lord Discordant, killed the Bloodthirster before anything hurt me. Or before he hurt me. Very handy. From that, it became just a lot of trading. I would charge or advance my Chaos Cultists directly into the objectives and take them away with OBSEC. He would then probably like use various things to deal with me, but you know, a Lord of Change is really good, but it's not really good against like cultists. They're cultists. You're telling me you're gonna use your Infernal Gateway on cultists? You know? For the most part, a lot of the really powerful stuff was going into things that he really just didn't want them to go into. Be'lakor lived. The Lord of Change lived. A lot of things survived. The Flamers just fucking murdered me as well. They did horrible things to my body because the Flamers are still quite good. But past that, it was just a lot of like, all right, I can't survive much and I can't kill Be'lakor. Here you go. Here's like an insane amount of damage or of bodies. I take the objective away from you, you kill me. I take it away from you, you kill me. I back and forth, just gunk up everything, right? Which is why at the end of the day, I won 83-70. If you were playing like an old school 40k where it's just murder everything, he would have beat me. He would have killed me and everything I know and love entirely with great volumes of psychic powers and just spells in general. And Be'lakor stabbing me to death. Gotta say, man, the Lord of Change, I mean, this is what it should be, honestly, but the Lord of Change's psychic powers are, oh my god, absolutely ridiculous. Like, just crushing how good these powers are. Just crushing. particularly Bolt of Change, Infernal Gateway, and I didn't say Bolt of Change twice. That's not right. Oh, Boon of Change. Is it Infernal Flames? No. No, I think he normally uses Bolt of Change, Infernal Gateway, and Smite. Yeah. Those are the main three. Really nasty. Really, really nasty. But at the end of the day, he just couldn't deal with the amount of chaff I had. The Cultists really won that. But yeah, those are the 5 games I played. 5-game events, guys, better. I think this should be the new norm, personally. I know that the major competitive people won't like that because it'll make more draws and stuff, but it's just so good on the body. Imperial Guard, win. Dark Angels, big lose. Oh, I didn't put the score. 38 to 99. Guard again, win. Iron Hands, lose. Mixed Chaos Demons, win. Here's my takeaway from my list. The idea of using AP1, maybe AP2 Demon Shell Legionaries with Mark of Tzeentch is a trap. It's honestly bad. Don't do it. It's great in theory until you remember that you can't move and shoot and ignore the penalty. And the Havoc autocannon is really bad, but you can't double up on Reaper chain cannons. Bolt guns are not enough at all. And you need too much CP to make it work. It's just not it. Marcus Slanesh, stabby though, pretty good, like that one. Terminators are great in the Night Lords build, but I'm not quite sure if it's overall a good idea. This idea of going wide on these units is not bad. I do kind of like the Chaos Lord, but I think I wouldn't do the Lightning Claw. Despite the idea that it's not a terrible idea, the idea of the Lightning Claw, but I would much rather go with a heavier hitting weapon because the mortals aren't good enough. I would rather like wound on 3s than 5s and get mortals, and then instead of taking the reroll the wounds. The Exalted Champion is hot dog shit. I knew it was dog shit, but even with the relic and it's dog shit. I would honestly have swapped him for a sorcerer and still done the same thing, given it like an Eye of Tzeentch. I would just make it a sorcerer. Exalted Champion is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Do not recommend. Disco Lord's great. Master of Executions is always still hilarious. There is no reason to take Chosen over Possessed as Night Lords. I hate it. I hate it so much. But you just don't. You just don't. Possessed are 3 points more, but with the Chaos Icon and Mark of Khorne, that means they're the same cost as Chosen. But I think they're cheaper. I think they're like 140. I hate how good they are in Night Lords too. 28 times 5 is 140, yeah. So for 140 in Night Lords, they are better because they get the extra -1 leadership. Better because that +1 to wound in Night Lords is good for their profile. 5 AP2/2. They have more attacks at 5 attacks a pop. They are tankier at T5. They move faster at 9-inch move, and they have a 5-up invul save. They are better than Possessed or than Chosen in every single way. Finally, the Havocs were actually really good in Night Lords. Being able to bring them out turn 1 with from reserves and get a good angle, they were actually really good. Because bringing them out turn 1 means exploding 6s because Wanton Destruction. And you know, because I could actually get within 12 inches for the Flamer, it was actually like within 12 for the Flamer with Let the Galaxy Burn and all those buffs. It was actually really good. The Chaos Predator is awful. In my mind, I was like, okay, T8 is pretty good. 2 las cannons with D6 plus 2 damage is pretty good. 2 heavy bolters is pretty good. This is a great package for 130 points. Do you know why it's bad? Because there's no synergy. There's none. 0. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing to buff it. It does not get rerolls. You can't buff it without prescience. There's no way to make it tankier besides smoke screen. I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, the Space Marines actually have really good tanks right now. They're way, way, way better. And they're like the same price. So why no? It's because the Gladiator Reaper is, yeah, it's 150 for about the same profile plus 1 wound, but the Gladiator Reaper has far more guns in general. 24 shots here, 2 Tempest Bolters here, putting out 16 more shots, and then a rocket pod, and Space Marines have like buffs. Did you know that there is no way to get rerolls with the Predator in Chaos? Like, I don't think there's any rerolls. Like, I genuinely mean 0 rerolls. Think about it. Black Legion, Word Bears, Night Lords, Iron Warriors, Alpha Legion, Emperor's Children, none of them give you rerolls. They don't give you reroll 1s, they don't give you reroll a hit or wound, neither do Bile, neither does Red Corsairs. There's no aura of rerolls, there's no like reroll wounds or hits, captains don't affect vehicles, there's none. But in Marines, you can give the Salamanders wound reroll, you can give them the Iron Hands reroll heavy weapons, like Gilliman, I think does it maybe. Like, there are options there, and it's the synergy. It's the synergy with it that allows you to be well. Also, Space Marines Dreadnoughts, which are vehicles, are core. Honest to God, I would drop this Predator. I would just take more Havocs, man. Dude, I'm so sold on these Havocs. These were great for me. So good. I would just take another squad of Havocs, or better yet, I would just take 5 more Possessed. Honest to God, for 130 points, I could drop it and then drop my Chosen and basically get 10 Possessed. Were you getting 20 points for Havocs? The mark and the, I don't know. I drop other things. There's like 9 Slanesh here. You know, there's all these extra cultists. I have places I can drop stuff. I can drop stuff in other places. You know, there's the spawn. Point being, tank needs to go. Chosen need to go. They just need to be damn possessed. God damn it. Tzeentch marked legionaries need to go. They are not good. And yeah. I love my Night Lords. But they are struggling. Love my Night Lords, but they are struggling. This whole game felt like hide and wait. If my things were out in the open, they died. And I'm Chaos Space Marines, man. Without Armor of Contempt, it is so impossible to survive in this game. It is near impossible to survive. So, yeah, it's pretty rough. Like, Armor of Contempt was the only thing keeping me alive. And without it, Space Marines die like glass cannons. I need to play Chaos Space Marines like glass cannons, and it is so unfortunate. Anyway, that's my tournament thing. The game needs to be less killy in general. I might mess around with this list a little bit and see how it goes.